Okay. I'll just tag you underneath the original live so you know where it's at. There we go.
Cool.
So one more. Working writing. Okay. All right, dude. So I'm gonna play the theme song and we're gonna ride. Oh, let's go.
We're riding. Hype happy hour, talking about life, so you might feel empowered. Hype happy hour, tornado on the mic with a guest giving power. Hype happy hour, tools, interviews, provide life tapping power. Hype happy hour, positive and light with advice, build your tower. Happiness is key, so you gotta bring the smiles out. Inspiration needs a bit of passion to just wild out. Positivity and optimism when we ride out. Enthusiasm and dreams, gotta feed them till your time's out.
Freaking go, dude. Hyped Happy Hour, episode 51. I am Dominic, aka Gentle Tornado. I am your host on this magical journey. Listen, I created a company called Live Hyped. Hyped is an acronym that stands for happiness, inspiration, positivity, enthusiasm, and dreams. And if you look at the bottom left, my logo is an H with a heartbeat in the middle because we never know how many heartbeats we have. So here on Hyped Happy Hour, we talk about the life journey. We talk about the person behind the account, incredible individuals. I am so committed. It just information gathering from some of the most incredible people in the world. And on episode 51, I am joined by someone that is so genuine, humble, hardworking, and just a great dude. Trevor, how are you?
I'm great, man. I didn't know your name was Dominic, and I just know you're Gentle Tornado, but good to know and great to be here and excited for it and love everything that you do, man. And yeah, great to be here.
Let's go, dude. We are absolutely riding. Listen, we started off with what we're grateful for. So what are you grateful for today?
Man, I think I've been at this game for a long time in the startup world. It's not an easy path, and I'm just grateful to be able to contribute my skill set and abilities in a way that can help other people. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunities that I get every day.
Let's go, dude. How long have you been in startup culture? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Since 2010, actually, like my first business was when I was in undergrad. Like I'm getting pretty old with my age, but I got started pretty young, like in university. I have like a famous story that I use because 2010, I started a company called Lean Startup Machine, which is all about training entrepreneurs on how to like go to market, validate your ideas, not waste your time building the wrong thing. And I had the failure experience like 2008, like importing scooters from China to the US. And that's kind of
Yes.
a story I've told like 1,000 times. But yeah, no, I kind of like did this education company in 2010. I raised some capital in 2013. Did the venture funded startup path, which is like it's intense, it's grueling, and most people fail. Launched a lot of different products. Became a full stack developer out of necessity. I coded a little bit when I was a kid, but nothing like shipping products. Had some successes, but nothing hit out of the park. And then kind of brought all those lessons together. And this is like my second win or my second story, I guess, here in the blockchain Web3 and Bitcoin space.
I love that, dude. So tell us a little bit about what you have right now, Ninjalerts. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So before I got into Web3 and Bitcoin, I've just been a founder for more than a decade building, and I was building. I had a software team. We were building like software for the education space, and then I got into Web3. Was tapped by the founders of Stacks to start an accelerator program with them, and we were building out software to help with that education process. And I kind of approached the space from a learning perspective. Really, NFTs and DeFi and MetaMask and like OpenSea and the production level software and use cases that I saw in 2021 are what sold me on the potential of this space reaching a mass market. Like I was into Bitcoin 2013, but it was all like about potential, and I'm like really like a rubber meets the road, like kind of pragmatist. And so when I saw that, that's when I really got convinced about Bitcoin, like Web3 coming back to Bitcoin. And so I was only like a holder of Bitcoin and in stacks, and then I got into NFTs and Ethereum. I didn't understand it, and I was just playing like ready to like I converted some Bitcoin to Ethereum. Like I'm just gonna a couple of Ethereum, and I'm just gonna like waste this money. I'm just gonna throw it down the toilet, kind of learn, invest in learning first. And I ended up getting hooked on trading. And I ended up like getting like like convinced like
Yes.
of NFTs, and it's like it was an addiction. So I was spending all this time like investing and working with startups, and then like spending more and more time trading NFTs because it was just like so easy. It was like everyone was making money back then. Like before August, it was like 50% of the mints, went up or something like that. And then as the market matured, it went down and down. But I kind of like went to my CTO, my co-founder of my startup, and we were like, I was like, hey, you gotta check out this Web3 stuff. Like, here's the value of NFTs. I kind of got him excited about it, and wanted to do something nice for him. So like, if you have ever worked with like developers, like one of the best like a vacation is like learning a new programming language. So like, I was like, hey, just like you've been working really hard. Why don't you take 2 weeks, like learn Solidity, get into it. Here's the idea I have. Like I just need push notifications when like these top traders buy stuff, so that way I don't have to like spend 24/7 on Twitter and in the Discord finding the contracts and stuff like that, or send me a push notification when the mint the mint goes live, which is sometimes like even like 30 minutes before like the scheduled time back in that day. And so we created like a Discord, we created a landing page, we did the lean startup method for this, and like 1 month our Discord grew to like 60,000 people, and we like launched an NFT for the lifetime license for the software, and it sold out at like 0.25 Ethereum for like 1,000 licenses. And so at that point, me and him were like, okay, why don't we, we really love this education thing, but like clearly there's like product market fit and demand here. Why don't we shift our focus onto Ninjalerts? And so the idea has always been just to focus on a really narrow, like, but important use case, and just be 10 times better at that one thing than anybody else in the market. Like find something that is not like going head to head with like the top dogs in the space, where we don't have a head start, we don't have all the funding and things like that they have, but we can find something that's really useful, and maybe it can start as a small use case, and then we can become the best of that and branch out from there into like ways to make that use case better, ways to extend that use case. And so that's what we've been doing with Ninjalerts, is like trying to just create the best alerts tool for traders for NFTs.
Wow, that is so wild. I love that you guys narrowed in on a niche. Like you guys were like, we're just going to be the best at this niche. And I think that's a lot of times such an important thing in anything that you do. There's a lot of people like want to do this, but then do these four different things, and then they're doing too much. They're spreading themselves too thin. Can you talk a little bit about how that has helped your business grow and like focusing on that one thing, but also being the best in that one thing?
Yeah, totally. So I think like when you're one of the biggest mistakes that founders make is they do too much. Like kind of a superpower is like being able to do less. So, and sometimes even you can find that uh, a product with less is actually better. So like if you look at like ordinals and like BRC20s, like this was like very, very like bare bones type of stuff that took off because it was less. And I've even, I've invested in portfolio founders where they had like this amazing like vision for something, and then they end up deleting features and like finding a stronger product market fit. And so I think it's kind of counterintuitive, like what is actually going to work in the market. And the less the less variables that you have, the easier it is to figure out what's working and what's not, and the faster you can get to market. So having that focus not only makes it easier to steer and like navigate, but it also kind of stacks the deck in your favor. So like, I'm pretty experienced. I've been doing this for a decade. I have a great team behind me, but even like all those things, it's not easy, right? So the fact that we were so focused has like saved us time and time again, where if it was like a cutthroat, ruthless, like, race where there's no room for error, we would have been screwed, right? But so like I always tell founders, like stack the deck in your favor, find a lane in the market where you can mess up, and execution is not like, it's great if you have amazing execution, but that's like a constant. Like you're either going to execute well or you're not, and like you can't really control. Like you're going to do your best, but if you can put yourself in a position to be successful uh, by the nature of like where you are, and that you have many chances, and people aren't going to be, coming to eat your lunch, then like you have a much more opportunity to be successful. And like it's also about setting a realistic goal. Like even if you look at like Elon Musk, like the most successful entrepreneur in history, uh, his first company he exited was called Zip2, and he like exited for like $20 million is what he made from that first exit. Then he got on board with PayPal, and then he exited for $100 million, and then he started Tesla and SpaceX, and so the idea is like, if you want to create $1 billion company, it really helps if you start with $100 million. It's like a lot easier. If you want to create $100 million company, start with $10 million. If you have nothing, go for that that base hit. Like try to get on base, try to get a point on the board, and like you know manage your downside risk. Like if you like 98% of startups fail. So if you try to like double your chance of success of that 2%, you're at 4%. But if you try to cut your failure rate in half from 98% in half, now you're at like 49%, right? Chance of success. So startups are all about like de-risking. And then like if you have more resources, you can take bigger swings. But the experience that I went through for 10 years was like trying to go big, and like I had many opportunities to like hit a base hit or like to like get some points on the board. But I was always, as an entrepreneur, it's like you always have this dream, and you kind of have to like fight that like that super big dream, which is where you want to keep that. You don't want to like get rid of that dream and lose your inspiration, but you need to have a very practical way to get there. And so like those like practical approaches, and if you look at like the most successful serial entrepreneurs, they're extremely like ruthlessly practical and disciplined. And like those small wins can add up big over time. And I think that a lot of founders like don't get that. It's hard to get that until you've like failed a bunch of times.
Yes, dude. I listen, this is the best. First of all, I got to make a comment. The reason I'm sitting so low is for some reason, when I sit up, my camera goes blue. I have no idea. I didn't have enough time to fix that. So that's why I'm so low. It's just, sorry, I had to address it. But I love this because the value that this podcast like brings is so just more for me, and like getting to learn, but also provide that for someone else. And so I think the biggest things that I took away from that were like, hone in on being simple, but then executing so hard on that. And honestly, you said the best thing was stack small wins. Like if you not only do that in business, but you take that to your life and you wake up, that's a win. And you start stacking these small wins, like it could really exponentially change your life. And so the fact that you brought that up in business like is so wild. And then I honestly want you to talk about this launch that you have coming up, because I know that you're really excited about it. And I want you to, since you just told us that backstory, like let's see what does this launch entail, and like what is that like for you?
Yeah, totally. So like the version of Ninjalerts that's live right now is like a mobile app, and we have some recommended wallets in there, and you can like follow the top traders, and it sends you push notifications. And excuse me. For the new version, like we went a lot bigger. Like basically we rebuilt like a new data pipeline for this that allows us to do some like crazy features, as opposed to just like you get an alert when someone mints, buys, or sells something. We're actually moving towards programmable alerts. So the idea is like, hey, if I have an alert for Gentle Tornado and Pio and Nick, I can combine that into one alert where it's like notify me when all three of these people like mint, buy, or sell something. We've also like done a complete overhaul on wallet discovery. So now we have like a real time, like we've had like real time trends based on top wallets, but that list of like top wallets, we've gone deeper to actually figure out like on a weekly basis who is making the most profit in the market, like and specifically what are they buying, what are they flipping. And so this initial release solves a lot of the like requests that like top traders have been asking of us, but it also sets us up to like ship much faster and to like add a lot more advanced functionality into giving people what they want. And that is like the ability to define the criteria of what you are looking for in the market and just get notified when that happens. So it's like combining different points of data and creating it into like rules for how you want to trade. So instead of like going on to OpenSea where it's like, or on Twitter where you're comparing different sources of data and you're like talking to people and making a judgment call, you can define what you want and know that Ninjalerts is going to notify you if that like if or when that happens.
Dude, that's wild. That's awesome. That's super cool. You're taking so many more steps to just make it better and a well-oiled machine. What is it, like another lifetime mint kind of thing, or what are you guys?
No more, no mint. I mean, it's just like a new version and we just want to get it out to people and yeah, like just make our product better. And so we
Yeah.
took like kind of like one step back, take two steps forward. And this kind of sets us up to do some like crazy things I think no one has done before. And so, you know, we've been building our team. I know you've probably seen me out there grinding on the Twitter
Yeah.
space and stuff like that. And it's like we're ready to show everybody what we can do. And so this is like it's a really important event for me. Like probably one of the most important events in my career so far is this launch because it combines like everything I've learned and built, and I just couldn't be excited to put it out there, you know, and like see what people think.
Let's go. No, I'm excited. It's going to be absolutely epic. I'm excited for you, mostly. So it's awesome. It makes me happy, literally. So what we do is we go word by word on the show and we talk about different things within the words that are within hyped. Because I truly believe, like, if you live a hyped life, whatever that looks like to you, with whether that's focusing on happiness or positivity, that'll enhance your life. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to read to you my favorite definition of success. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So it says, what is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate the beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded.
It's beautiful. I
So
love Emerson, man.
yes. What was your favorite part of it?
I think he just it's like it's very thorough. Like he covered like so many, and it's like it's not about how much money you make, right? It's like what impact you have. It's about like, you know, people always ask the question like, what would you want people to say at your funeral? You know what I mean? And I think that's like to think with the end in mind and work backwards is really how to live your life. And it's hard. Life is hard. It's hard to like to get everything you want. You know, we grow up in a society where it's like we think we're going to be rock stars. We think we're going to be millionaires, you know, like and life doesn't play out that way. Life throws you throws you curveballs. And at the end, I think, you know, some people who make the most money are the least happy in their lives. And so, you know, you have to like money is like a tool. It's not an end. It's a way to have an impact and measure how you're doing. It's a way to provide for your family and to provide for people that you care about. But that's the goal. Like the goal is like to live your life. The goal is to provide for people. And if you're just like focused on money or status, it's definitely like I would rather, you know, like fail at everything and, you know, have a life of pain than like an empty life of like letting people down and, you know, not like turning your back on people that you could have helped, right?
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. I have nothing to say because you just absolutely crushed that. Listen, the first question under happiness is, what makes you happy every single day?
I think, man, it's yeah, for me, I mean, it's about can I move somebody in a way that like as an investor, you know, specifically, or I guess like as a
Yeah.
founder, as a leader, is like, can I do something that makes someone else's potential go up? You know, like, or can I unlock someone's potential in a way that saves them time, in a way that gets them to where they want to go faster? Like for me, like I want to see all my friends successful. You know, I want to see I want to see good people win. I want to see good people successful. I want to see the underdog get the credit they deserve. So, you know, those are the kind of things that make me happy, I would say.
Let's go. That's amazing. I literally love it. Yesterday, I went to one of my wife's friend's son was playing in like a middle school championship tournament for soccer, and they were supposed to get wrecked. They were like supposed to lose so bad, and they won. And I was literally on top of the world the rest of the day. I was like, I was more excited probably than them. And so I love that you said that, because watching the underdog win is literally everything. What This is an interesting question, and I know that I ask a lot of young people this. And what is the happiest moment of your life so far?
Wow, man. I would say like the happiest moment of my life is like, like personal experiences with like family and like my significant other and like things like that. In my career, it has always been when I like put everything into something and like it worked out. You know what I mean? Where like I really tested myself and I like passed for myself. You know what I mean? So it's um like looking back on that, like any of the moments where, for example, like when I was in university and like I studied really hard for a test, or I tried to change something about myself that was not easy, and I actually did it, and it was really important to myself. Or um, like basically like the things that I regret most are like things where like I should have known better, or like I didn't believe in myself enough.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a problem that we all deal with, is like trying to figure out like when we're wrong, when we're right, being open to change, and like yeah, just like doing a good job, like just
Yeah.
really like doing a good job that you can feel proud of it, or doing well by somebody, where you can see like if like that you've done something that helped somebody a lot, and it emotionally impacted them. Like that's what brings me. Those are some of the happiest moments in my
Yeah.
life.
That's all. No, I love it. I love it. I can agree with you completely as far as I go too. What about personal life? What is maybe your happiest moment of your personal life?
Yeah, I would say so there's a lot. I would say
Give me three.
yeah, like I would say like spending time with my dad is a big one. Like my dad is like a very like he is a very hardworking, like kind of blue collar guy, but he's an engineer, but he works on big ships, and he was like fixing these big ships. And s- I spent a lot of time with him because I'm based normally well, I've been based in South Korea, and I came back to the US, and I'm kind of spending a lot of time with him because the time zone, like the time zone, like working in the US. I think the crypto world's kind of like on the New York time zone mostly, from what I've experienced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spending time with him, like getting to know him more. Um, I have a younger sister as well, so like being able to help her in her personal growth. Um, yeah, I would say like family, and of course,
Yeah.
my yeah.
Does your dad's so wait, are you in South Korea right now or you're in the US?
No, I'm in the US right now.
Okay, but your dad's in South Korea.
No, I was in South Korea.
Okay. You guys are both in the US.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. And are you staying here like permanently or?
Yeah. I'm working. I'm
Okay.
working on moving right now within the U.S. But
Okay, cool. Okay. I
yeah.
was like, if you were going back and forth, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. So my CTO is based in Korea for Ninjalerts. My other co-founder, he's from New York, but he's actually based in India. So this is why like I also like have like crazy schedule where I'm waking up at 9 a.m. for meetings, and then I have like midnight meetings,
Yeah,
which sucks. But
that is
that's
wild.
the startup
Yeah.
life.
Where are you at right now?
Near Boston.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody is East Coast. Literally, I feel like it's 95% East Coast, 5% West Coast. Like when I find, because I'm in Las Vegas, when I find someone that's like from the West Coast, I'm like, no way, dude. Because everybody is fucking East Coast.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think especially for NFTs, right? Because NFTs hit media, they hit entertainment. I mean, LA has a big community, but I think New York, it's kind of New York dominated. The
Yeah.
startup community there, like you don't see, and also like I think San Francisco has gone down. Like the Bay Area has kind of like gone downhill a little bit from like a lifestyle and like political perspective, tax perspective. I mean, there's
Yeah.
more crypto people and Bitcoin people in Texas. You know what I'm saying? And like you look
Yeah.
at like uh 10 years ago, you know, it was only the coast, and it was like Silicon Valley was the focal point. But now you see like Austin has a huge community,
Yeah.
and from like a political perspective, like there's lower taxes there. You know, these are the kind of the things that have moved, and I think it just shows you like things are always changing. You know, like
Yeah.
never get stuck in like one way of how things are going to be, because things are always changing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely love it. What are some communities that you're involved in? Maybe you hold the NFT, the digital collectible that you've just like always been a part of, or maybe you're just the most bullish on.
I mean, I would say one of them is Metaverse HQ. Obviously the Nifty as well, dude. Like, you know, I'm a small investor in the Nifty, so I know Pio for a long time. I think that's how you and I met
Yeah.
in at VCon, right? And
Yeah. Yep.
like I remember when he was like just getting started, I was like, this guy's super talented. But you know, it's like even with Ordinals, like I knew this was big, but I didn't know how big it was gonna be. When I met Pio, I knew this guy would be big. I didn't know how big he would be. That kind of stuff makes me super happy to see. But like a big one that I'm a part of is Metaverse HQ. I'm a part of the 333 Club with
Okay.
Zeneca. I'm part of the Nifty. I'm part of a bunch of the trading and alpha groups, and then you know I'm big in the the Bitcoin
Yeah.
community, among the different builders and ecosystems. The Ordinal community. Ordinal
Mhm.
community has been great. So yeah,
Yeah, dude.
I try to be in a lot of communities. You know,
Yeah, no, I love it. And you're big, like BTC basically just blew up in the space. I mean, what has that been like for you? Like, is it just a roller coaster of fun or what?
oh, it's been surreal, man. Because I've been like, yeah, this goes back to um, like my previous phase of my career. You know, there were things that I was right about, but I didn't have the confidence to really stick with. You know what I mean? And when it came to like BTC, like having all these potential applications be built on it or built on the layers, I was like, I'm not gonna make the mistake again. Like this is like a very like worthy asymmetric bet for me. And then I just didn't think it was gonna happen so soon. Like I wasn't expecting that ordinals would take off. I mean, I thought it was really cool, but how it could like spawn this massive community, you can never predict. And so it's been really surreal. I mean, when like on the Twitter Spaces front, I hosted like 60 Twitter Spaces, and like we were really struggling because I've always been in this weird area of like I like Ethereum, but I like Bitcoin a little bit more. I like NFTs. I think people should build on Bitcoin, but no one knows how or knows that you can. And then when Ordinals took off, it was like, you know, I was like, this is an opportunity. And luckily, I've been working with like NFT now for a while, so I know one of the co-founders, Sam, used to work with used to work for me like 10 years ago. You know, it's like I have a lot of actually like people who've worked for me who've gone and be super successful, like Sam. Um, and so I invested in NFT now, and then was working with them, and just was at the right place, the right time, and had like the I was actually on like uh I was on a trip with like my fiance, and was supposed to be spending like the whole time like, you know, on the trip, but then Ordinals hit, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I gotta this is good for us, you know, like we have to
Yeah,
do,
yeah, oh yeah.
you know, like. And so I ended up just like jump on the Twitter Spaces, and yeah, like, you know, like now people are always like, oh, Trevor, you're so smart, you know. I'm like, well, you know, no one told me that before. You know, like now that like this kind of movement has happened, and I've had an opportunity to show like what I've been thinking about for a while, it's really just preparation. You know what I mean? It's preparation meets opportunity. They say it's better to be lucky than to be good.
Yep.
I've known what it's like to be. I've always felt I was good but never lucky, and I got lucky this time. So, and I
Yeah.
was, you know, at the right place at the right time. So it's
Dude,
been,
that's
yeah, I feel really grateful for it, and it's been uh, I've met so many great people. I mean, I met so many great people, and I feel like, you know, my goal is just to see the space grow in a way that's healthy, because I've been a part of a lot of these growing movements before, and so trying to be as inclusive as possible, and grow the pie rather than like take a slice out and eat it, I think is the key to like seeing this space continue to grow.
no, I love it. I literally love it, dude. That's I agree with you 100%. And I'm honestly happy that you got to experience like what you're experiencing now and hosting and being a part of NFT now and stuff like that. I think it's great. Under inspiration, this is my favorite question to ask on my show. What is one lesson in your life that you've had to learn the hard way?
So many, man. So many. I've had to I for whatever reason it made a character flaw, but like I learned best the hard way. um you know, I think it comes back down to like being extremely practical and just like setting your goals small, but like short term in the sense of like hit small goals more frequently and stack those wins. And also like not to get too invested emotionally in a specific direction or a specific idea, but to be open to as many ideas as possible and be quick to pivot, be quick to react. Um, and try to like look at what's working and not try to like think that I know like what's working, but like really observe it and study it and then uh go into it from there. So, it's um and it's really been so yeah, it's really been about about like trying to like I'm not a naturally like consistent person like when and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are not either because
Yeah.
if you're naturally like really conscious and consistent, like you would do good at the way the current system is set up, the current like school system, the current like society structure. A lot of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs because they can't get a job somewhere else
Yeah.
because they're kind of an oddball or I like the saying Dr. Seuss said you have to be odd to be number one. And so a lot of entrepreneurs are kind of oddballs. I was always like kind of an oddball. And so it's just like working on those weaknesses but also like doubling down on those strengths and like keeping your values consistent and trying to understand yourself. Like self-awareness is really a superpower. And I think I've been lucky to have a lot of mentors along the way who've like informed my thinking and yeah, like just always be a student, always look at things from a beginner's mindset.
No, I love that, man. And I think, yeah, you hit it right on the head, man. Self-awareness is something that is not taught at all. It's definitely not taught in school, and it's almost not taught by a lot of parents these days. And it is easily top 3 most important things for characteristic to have, especially, as an entrepreneur, but just as anybody, because when you have that self-awareness, it allows you to be genuine. It allows you to read a situation. It allows you to lean into yourself. And I think people lose track of that. And they don't understand that, like, even if you want to help people, like, I can't help someone if I'm not doing good, right? And a lot of people feel that way, like they can just help everybody. But then that person is hurting, and it's just like that's the most simplest definition of self-awareness. And when you're firing on all cylinders, then you're doing all these amazing things like you're saying you're doing with these ordinals and the NFT now and Ninja Alerts. And like you wouldn't have been able to do that if you weren't self-aware. So I literally love that. And I'm always trying to talk about that and accountability and these types of things that like will help you in real life. I think, I'm launching a foundation to support teen mental health because there's so much focus on like suicide and the issue and let's say gun violence, but there's not enough emphasis on leadership and accountability and self-awareness and positivity and these things that can actually help you in your life. Like, yes, there is an issue that like suicide is a thing, but like let's put emphasis on happiness and gratitude and the things that can help you get out of that. And so like by you saying that self-awareness, I think that could just help so many people.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with you because and I've like they I think Jeff Bezos said something about how like really smart people change their mind a lot. You know what I mean? And like I've always gone back and forth on this. And sometimes like the environment changes, right? But you need to have balance. You need to have balance in life. Like you need to try to look at things as objectively as you're able to, but you also need to take self responsibility, like and accountability. Like if you don't have responsibility for your life, like no one is going to take responsibility for it. And you have to try to like you have to be a contributor in society. Like you have to get yourself to a level where you can help others. And sometimes you're never going to be like maybe fully on firm footing, but we
Yeah.
are like social creatures. We are like we depend on each other, right? And so there's such a difficult balance I think for a lot of people to deal with. And like change is accelerating in society. Like a lot of systems are breaking down and the current education system doesn't prepare us to live in this world. Like it prepares us to live in like the kind of the factory system or like the normal world of management rather than the world of innovation and the world of
Yeah.
disruption where I mean, I don't think anyone can argue like things are becoming less stable in like the world, like since COVID,
Yeah.
like, like the Taiwan protests and sorry, the Hong Kong protests, um, like we need to be prepared. People need to be prepared for the world in front of us, and it's not easy, and it's something that we all got to be prepared for.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Is there anybody in your life that you've maybe it's been an inspirational leader or somebody that you've looked up to throughout your life? Maybe a few people?
Yeah, so many. I mean, um, I think like I in my previous decade as a founder, I was mainly running an education company for like the first part of it before I like went the venture path. And I had the great fortune of having many great mentors in the startup community who taught me not just about like startups, but also about life. So like like Lean Startup Machine was the first training program on Lean Startup. So the book, The Lean Startup. Eric Ries was somebody who inspired me a lot because he was a not a contrarian, but like a skeptic or a rational thinker who, would look at like the people that are the most successful. Like in Silicon Valley, there's tons of mirages, and I think even the crypto space, man, there's even more. There's even more
Yeah.
mirages of what's going on, and that the idea of like lean startup is like kind of a scientific take on innovation, where it's like do a minimum viable product, measure the input, look at the data, iterate and pivot, like go to market quickly. Like this has informed a lot of how I try to live my life. It's like try to like and deal with uncertainty. And yeah, I mean, I think being a founder is the because it's the most challenging thing you can do. It is the fastest way to level up yourself. It is the fastest and most effective way to actualize your full potential is by throwing yourself in the deep end and learning how to swim. And um, I think that like anyone who has had struggle in their life, like you may like look at the struggle and wish that you did better, but you're never going to take that struggle for granted. That struggle becomes something that you're grateful for because it prepares you for the next phase. Like the previous decade for me, like compared to this decade, is like this decade's easy, like compared to
Yeah.
that previous decade because it just like starting over. I think the ability to start over is really powerful for founders and just for anyone in life. The ability to get a second chance.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. And I think the importance of losing and experiencing that and going through these hardships is literally what makes someone grow, and stepping out of your comfort zone is the easiest way to grow because it's not going to happen when you stay in your little bubble. And so I love that you said that. What is your favorite inspirational movie?
Oh man, what a great question. Well, my favorite movie is Gattaca. Do you know
Okay.
Gattaca? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of an inspirational movie. I mean, it's like a guy who it's a first of all, it's a sci-fi movie. It won like I think was nominated for like set design. It's a beautiful movie. And it was a story about someone who was dealt the wrong cards in life, and he worked systematically for that one goal against the system, and he won. He won, and it contrasted another person who was given everything and took it for granted, and was miserable because of it. So I've always liked that movie. I think other inspirational movies, man. When I was a kid, this is like an inside poll or like a take, but like as a kid, I loved the movie like Milo and Otis. I don't know if you ever saw that. Did you ever see that movie?
I've never seen that. No.
It's about a cat and a dog who are friends and they get separated, and then they both go on a journey to like be reunited. Like that was my favorite movie as a kid.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I've always liked like Studio Ghibli, like Hayao Miyazaki, like those kind of movies that show like we've like I think society always goes through like times of darkness and times of light, and like it just deals with like kind of like those topics, and like very heartwarming and inspiring movie. But there's so many, man. Like I would have to like like go
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the whole one of my favorite things to talk about is we've all if someone has been from your situation in life and come out and been successful and achieved something, then it's possible. And I think that's universal across anywhere you're born, anywhere you're from. Obviously some people have the leg up, but like there are people that are from the worst situations that come out and they absolutely dominate life and they are very successful. I think it's possible. And it goes back to what you said earlier. You were talking a lot about your goals and your dreams, but it's like set micro goals for the macro dream, for the big dream. And like, oh, don't be afraid to dream big because I mean, literally at this point, I think anything's possible. And if you just put in the time, the work, that you do it all, you manifest it, you spread good, you do good. I literally think like I don't know if anything's not possible at this point.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 examples since you asked me for like 3 people. Like, I'll give you 2 more people that had a big impact on me in my career. One is Heaton Shah. You can follow him on Twitter, HN Shah. He was a advisor to my previous company, and he's a like really self-aware, like wise person who his favorite like tagline is like the way to be successful is to help other people be successful. And this is a guy who like I taught me a lot about like being a leader in startups. But the one thing I noticed about him is that he always took time for everybody. Like like if a random founder like ever sent him an email, he would always go out of his way to like have a coffee with them for like 30 minutes. Like he would always just like be open to meeting anybody and to helping anybody like within the constraints of what he could do. And for me, like that had a big impact on how like I want to be. Like, I like look at him uh as like a Gandhi like type of person in Silicon Valley where he's like as selfless as he can be, like
Yeah.
he's like if it takes him like one set like like if he's very efficient as well, but like if he has the opportunity to help somebody, he'll do it. And also like there are many times where as a founder, like I struggle with things and like I would kind of like chase him down and then like he would be like, all right, he'd like sit me down and he would like really dig into things with me to help me get through stuff. Another one was Mark Suster. So he's M Suster on Twitter. He was the lead investor in my previous company in 2013. And like this guy was just like like when you go the VC path, there's a lot of pressure on you. And especially if you're a first time entrepreneur, like your success or failure can kind of in your mind represent your worth as a human being. And this was somebody who, after I didn't hit like that success that I wanted to, or after I made like so many mistakes, and this is the person who like, bet on me, like gave, took a risk to like give me to fund my company. Like he made like he took it as a positive. I mean, he's like, listen, like not every like I invest in a lot of companies and I do it because I believe in the person and I know that not every one of them is going to like hit it out of the park, right away. And like in my mind, I was like so nervous. I'm like, and honestly feeling terrible about myself, like feeling like my worth is very low as a founder because I didn't succeed like I wanted to. And for him, it was just like, no, man, like you're great. Like, like keep going. Like, like, it was like a moment that I look back on to this day as like a moment where I had been in the darkness for months and then like meeting with him and feeling like actually accepted by somebody that I felt like I had let down and even feeling like the acceptance is like maybe a form of forgiveness in a way
Yeah.
allowed me to like forgive myself and kind of like break through a bit. And it didn't like, uh, it didn't break me through all the way, but it was like for that day, it totally broke me through and like it
Yeah.
led me on a path towards I think healing as a like a person as a founder. And
Dude.
this is the type of investor I try to be like. This is like for me like the gold standard. Like I've had portfolio companies already fail, like very short time, and I want to be the person where like there's no genuine person on this earth who tries to start a business and if they fail, there's no way that they would not like feel a loss of self-worth and a struggle to like get back up. And I want to be the person to like extend my hand and help them back up.
Yes. No, I literally freaking love that. It's kind of crazy to think about. This is like a zoom out kind of thing, a perspective. Think about moments in your life that have been so altering for the projection of the rest of your life. And that's universal for everybody has micro moments that are like, you can lean back on. And what I use them for, and I think you do as just hearing you speak, is for gratitude. Is like, how can I even be upset? Like honestly, that's the way I think. Like I've some like brought it down so to dumb level is like, how can I even be upset? I have a wife and I have 3 sons. Like at that moment, the fact that I've woken up and those things, I don't even know. Like I literally don't know how to be upset. And that's obviously not a micro, but like tearing my ACL, that's a moment, right? You having that moment with the old investor is like, it's wild that you can lean back on those moments where in society now, people view those as the worst things that can happen to somebody, and losses aren't good. But you and me and other successful people, is the way that you can view it is gratitude and project you forward in life.
Totally, man. I mean, it's like, you can look at anything as glass half full, or you can look at it as glass half empty. And attitude, like a positive attitude gets you so far. Like a positive attitude will get you so far in any situation. You know what I mean? And a lot of it's just like how you think. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're able to, like you said, focus on what you can do about a problem, you will solve that problem. If you get stuck in it, and like negative train of thoughts are sometimes really hard to break as well. Like, like when I was a founder and like feeling down about myself, man, I would even like, it's like so weird how like extreme it can get, where it's like I had a nightmare about like letting down somebody who was like an advisor, investor, etc.
Yeah.
Also, I think in the startup world, in the business world, it can be very transactional too. Like, like I think you said something about, or in the success quote, it said something about like fair weather friends, right? And so, um, like if you're a person who wears your heart on your sleeve, like I have always been, like
Yeah.
uh, that can really get to you, and it really got to me, and it took me a lot of time off to kind of break that negative train of thought, to like really understand why other people would be transactional, you know what I mean, or why other people would be my friend and then not be my friend later, and to put myself in their shoes. And then that kind of broke me through to like letting go of those negative thoughts.
Wow. So you just basically almost answered the question that I'm going to ask about positivity, but I'm going to want you to elaborate. So I'm just going to read the most general statement for a positive mindset. It's just focusing on the good in any situation. So that's basically what you just touched on. Can you talk about more of like your journey and how positivity has really impacted that journey? Because I mean, obviously, you know me, like I'm a positivity maxi, and people confuse positivity with like, we're all going to make it, like life's a bunch of rainbows. And it's like, no, positivity is actually like focusing on that good in any bad situation, because there is shit that happens every day. And like you can always focus on something that will get you through that. So can you tell me like a little bit more about that on your journey?
Yeah, totally. Um, I think like I've always been like a Gary V fan. You know what I mean? Like I love that guy. He's also an inspiration to me, and he was an advisor to my previous company. Because I was like based in New York and knew him, and like we met at VCon. You know what I'm saying? Um, and like I think people, like a lot of people try to jab at him, like, oh, this is like some type of hustle porn or whatever. And like I can kind of see that perspective, but I also think like there's definitely, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
don't miss the forest for the trees. Like there's been like, and you look at like people like Tony Robbins and other people who are even more extreme on like that, like, just like like positive things are going to solve everything. Of course, there's situations in life that like positive thinking is not going to solve. You know what I'm saying? But like people dramatically underestimate how much control, either how much like, it's like you either have control or you don't. And the things that you don't have control over, just ignore. The things
Yeah.
that you have control over, do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Like don't get down on yourself for things that you can't control, because you can't do anything about it. And any moment you're thinking about it is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like you have to be 100% focused on what you can do. And not everybody is dealt, like life is not fair, and life sucks. And like all you can do is deal with it. And so all you can do is deal with it and work with other people and find people that you can have a like a mutual relationship with, where you're helping and supporting each other, you have each other's backs. And I don't think there is anything other than positivity. Like I understand, like I wish I could be more positive all the time. You know what I mean? Like, um, and I think I'm a pretty positive person, like, or at least I come off as a very positive person. But I have the same struggles that everybody else does with like negativity. But if I like, I think positivity is like a free gift that you can give other people. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that you can do to help other people. That's a gift. That's like free. Like, um, encouragement, forgiveness, um, like and positivity, or feedback, suggestions. I think the people who, and this is actually something like I would say most of the success in my career has been around being positive. Like, as someone who's like a community builder, someone who's building a company, someone who's doing business in the world, people are attracted to positivity, and they're also attracted to someone who has a can do mindset. Of course, you need to be able to like call things out, and you need to also like stand up for when something is wrong. But you also need to like, like, especially smart people. Like, I always say, like, you're always talking to the smartest person in the room, whether you think you are or you're not. And in like that case, like, people can tell when you're being selfish. They can, like, smart people can tell when you're being selfish. They can tell when you're not being humble. And so you have to know how to take L's as well. Like, you have to know how to like not make yourself the focus of something, but be a contributor. And it comes down to like, there's like givers and takers in the world, and like if you can be a giver, like karma will come back to you. This is like one of my core values is karma. And I think karma is slow. Karma is slow as hell, but it does come back to you. It does catch up to you, and it does catch up to the other people who don't do right in that situation. So, I've even like, I had this idea of like, because I've dealt with a lot of people who karma should have caught up to faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've dealt with a lot of people, and so I even had like this idea of like the asshole survivorship bias. It's like, out there, you see in the world, you see a lot of people who are super successful, and they're assholes. Like, maybe they're like a founder of a famous company, or they're like a business magnate or whatever. And the reality is, like, um, those people will always be the most successful, but like, among the assholes, they're like a very small percentage, because they're going to negotiate for that extra 1% they don't deserve, and they're going to like step on other people, so they will be the most successful. But you're not seeing the other 99.99999% of assholes who they tried to do that, and then they didn't like, you know close their eyes and hit the grand slam out of the park, and they're never going to get another chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have that good attitude, people are going to help you when you need it, and people are going to do right by you when you don't deserve it. Um, Versus if you're like an asshole and you're selfish, like, people, you get one chance. If you can run away and just like, hit out of the park, you're probably more successful than anybody else. But that's not a winning strategy. That's a terrible strategy, and it's a survivorship bias that we see in the market.
Yeah, wow. No, I love that. And I think the karma is super practical thing is something that I live by as well. And doing the right thing is always the right thing. And givers gain, takers lose is those are just few things that I live by. And it's all you just touched on. And I think, yeah, it's you just don't know that the type of impact you could have on someone when you're helping them. Like, especially if you just think about this conversation that we've had with that guy, the investor that helped you. Like, he basically impacted your entire future. And knowing that he probably didn't even think that. He just wanted to help you. And that's wild to think that maybe not simple thing, but that one moment, because he just decided to be selfless and help somebody, changes your life.
Absolutely, man. I had this crazy experience that I remember, where I was this is like when I was living in New York, and like riding in the taxi cabs every day. You see like these little advertisements of like, random like local community stuff. And there was like this story on the news about like this kid who like just started making sandwiches and going out and giving to homeless people. Like and people were like really puzzled. They're like, why are you doing this? Why are you going and giving out sandwiches to homeless people? Like, you're a little kid. And he was like, I saw people who needed help, and so I wanted to help them. And I was like, like that shit blew my mind. I was like, holy, like that was so fucking simple. Like he, it's like we're conditioned in certain ways in society to think too hard about things. And he was just like, I saw someone who needed help, and I had the ability to help them, so I wanted to help them. And like
Yes.
that sort of like purist, almost idealist, like sincere and genuine like take is something that like it was like me just watching a advertisement in a taxi cab, and I was like, holy shit, like I wrote that down. I like, kind of remembered that. And you're right, like that investor, Mark, like yeah, it wasn't like a big thing for him, but it was a massive thing for me.
Dude, I love it. I absolutely love it. This is so fire. So we're under enthusiasm. Basically, I'm a professional brick wall killer. So I love to run through brick walls. I'm excited all the time. I love this question. What are 3 things in your life that you are obsessed with right now?
Yeah, obviously ordinals, building on Bitcoin. I'm obsessed with like, you know, uh, I can be mean as well. Like I'm not nice all the time, man. Like like on Twitter, especially like some of the Bitcoin maxis, I've become nicer and understanding because now I have the upper hand. You know what I'm saying? I've become more generous. But like I would spend a lot of time dunking on Bitcoin maxis because I saw what I did for a decade as an educator and in the lean startup movement was dealing with founders who have cognitive dissonance. Like cognitive dissonance is the idea that like you've been told this story about like a genius entrepreneur who had an idea and it just was immaculately conceived and then they were successful. But the reality of that like edited and like Hollywood version of the story is that they like labored and failed and like weren't right, and then they found it was working, they doubled down on it, and then that worked. And so I would deal with founders all the time where it's like hey, the market is saying this is not a good idea, but you still think it is a good idea, and like coaching them through that cognitive dissonance and like kind of like identifying the cognitive biases. And then when I obviously when you get into these maximalist communities, like they're full of cognitive dissonance. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bag bias. I mean, everybody has bag bias. It's like you want your bag to go up, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's NFT, it doesn't matter. You're going to look at it through a rose-colored lens, and the computing power in your brain is going to be negatively affected. So, I've always been kind of obsessed with psychology. So,
Yeah.
that's always fascinated to me is psychology and different cultures. Like, I lived in China, I lived in South Korea, and like um it's interesting when you go to the edges of these communities. Like if you go to like the most intense hardcore Bitcoin maxi, you'll find the weirdest behaviors, and then you'll translate it back to um to like the structure and have a better understanding of the environment. Like when I'm living in South Korea, like during COVID, there was an outbreak in Korea for COVID, and it was from this one like sort of like religious cult. And I was like, holy shit, Korea has like religious cults. I started looking into this, and it's called Shinshinji, and that's the name of it. If you go look on YouTube, this like you will see like even religion in every country is very different. Like it's the same, like the same type of like um origin of like Christianity or Islam or like Judaism. Like they're all kind of based in, I think most of them are based in like Christianity, but then the actual like how do they pray, how do they build community. Like if you look at Scientology in the US, like and if you've seen the movie Going Clear, like what's the unique thing about Scientology? They have like certifications. Like that's like the most American thing ever is like certifications. Like you've achieved, like here's your certification.
Yeah.
And they also like the whole thing is like the way you get the certification is like by talking about yourself. It's like, it's like kind of like therapy. It's like you can learn a lot about American culture from that. And then
Yeah.
also in Korea, like the cult, like the whole idea is like they study a test, like they study book, like it's like, you look at the culture, it's a very top down. I mean, there's brilliant innovation there. But like the school system there is very different than the US. The school system is like they go to school from like 9 a.m. to like 11 p.m. and like they have cram schools. So they're always cramming, to study. And then like the religion is like, hey, after you're out of this structure, a lot of people don't know what to do, and they like try to they like regress to needing what they had when they were like first learning and adapting to society. And then like they're like the whole point of it of the religion is like to cram like studying the Bible or studying the other books that they do, and they have standardized tests.
Yeah.
And it's just like I love learning about culture, and seeing like being able to relate to that, being able to open my own perspective to like the reason I study is because I find a new way to open my perspective, from that. So that's why I've always kind of been interested in Bitcoin culture, and like kind of the dogmatism and religion there, and trying to open people's eyes. So like Bitcoin ordinals, that obviously I'm also interested in just building,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, like
Learning. I would say you're obsessed
yeah,
with learning.
technology. Like
Yeah.
where is this space going to go? Um,
I
like
think
although I prefer like Bitcoin, I'm a maxi in the sense that people ask me like, are you a maxi? And say, well, I define a maxi as someone who spends all their time thinking about something and want to see it be successful. But I'm not like, a maxi where there's only one way of doing things. Only one thing is going to be successful. I try to keep an open mind, because if you don't recognize what else is working in the space, then you're not going to be able to be the best at what you're trying to do.
no, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. What has been your what has been your biggest accomplishment of your life?
I hope it'll be the launch of Ninjalerts V3 here in in 2 weeks. We'll see.
All right, I love it. I love it.
I
I'm
in
go.
an answer, I'll tell you like I don't have something yet. I would say that I'm like the biggest accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I look back at like the first time I did the accelerator program for my fund, the Bitcoin Frontier Fund, before it was called Stacks Ventures. Like that was a moment I was really proud of, to see like all the companies that I helped prepare for their pitches, like raised a lot of funds, and people really loved the demo day that we did. That's something that I would say recently I'm most proud of. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of like creating Ninjalerts, because I applied all the lessons I've learned as a founder and in lean startup, and was able to like in 1 month like validate it, and then we like sold out, and the timing of it was great. And so I'm looking towards the future of making Ninjalerts super successful and making it a one of a kind product that everybody loves, and then also trying to lead the way to help more people build companies in the Bitcoin space, and also more investors come into the Bitcoin space, because um, I think it's an untapped opportunity. I think Bitcoin is really important, and I think like I want everyone around me to be successful. Like even like people on my team, like one person on my team the other day was like, oh, like Trevor, you're gonna be really rich someday. And I said we're all gonna be rich. Like I want to make you rich. I want to make like I want everyone to be successful. It would be very lonely if I was if I was the only one successful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. What is your most exciting moment of Web3? Maybe a trade, maybe it was ordinals. Do you have like one story that was one moment that was the most exciting?
Yeah, I would say definitely like that first week of ordinals for like the sub 10K. When it was under 10K, like I didn't even realize like there would be something like about the sub 10K. I actually called one of my best friends, Grace, who's an NFT artist, and I told her to do it. Like I wasn't even gonna do it. I wasn't even gonna do it. I was just like, hey, this could be something. Like drop what you're doing this weekend. Like I'm more confident in this than anything else. Like do it. And I didn't even think about doing it for myself. I was just like excited that people came on my Twitter space. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, we have like over 100 people on this Twitter space. Like that was an achievement for me. And I was more excited about that, because I did like struggle for 6 months that people actually that I could bring people together and have a meaningful conversation that people wanted to listen to.
Dude, that's awesome. What is a pre 10K? What does a sub 10K go for? Inscription go for? Like how much does that sell for?
I think it depends. I'd have to check. Um, but I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be worth a lot. I mean, I think like the sub 10K. I mean, there's a lot of random stuff in there, but there's some gems in there. I mean, sub 1,000, sub 100, these are the most valuable. Like the the number one inscription. The first inscription is 0. That was what Casey Rodimer inscribed. Number two is another developer who's like on our show all the time, and it's the Dick Bud. It's the not crypto Dick Bud, it's just the Dick Bud, because the Dick Bud is before the crypto Dick Bud.
Oh my
And that, I
gosh.
think he listed that for like 69 BTC.
Bitcoin. Oh my gosh.
I'm really I bought the number one cover of Bitcoin Magazine. So Bitcoin Magazine and goes back to like I think 2013 or 2014, and they inscribed all of the covers as one of one ordinals, and I bought the first one, the original one, where it's like it's either Vitalik taking the picture or he's like in the picture. I think I need to ask him if that's him, but that's something that I think is like a really treasured like ordinal collectible I have. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, like I think they're going to be very valuable. I think of like the people the narrative of the first 10K is like that's like the first collection, kind of like there isn't the concept of a collection yet on inscriptions and ordinals because they're all one of one. But like the first 10K is kind of looked at as like, CryptoPunks were like the first 10K, right? So people look at that category as like the number is sometimes more important than the art. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's some real gems in there. I have like 50 in there from like that I inscribed like last minute when like I was like it was getting towards 10,000. I was talking to one of my investors, and he was like, and he hit me up, and I was like, I hooked him up with the guy to help him inscribe a ton of them. And he was like, "What are you doing? Like, you should be inscribing right now. These are gonna be worth a lot." And I was like, "Oh shit, you're right." So I just like got 50 in there before the end of the 10K.
Dude, that's awesome. That's literally so epic. Oh my gosh. So you have 51 of sub 10,000 inscriptions.
I have a few more than that. Yeah,
Oh.
I inscribed 50, and then I also did like I have one that's like 1,045. I didn't get under 1K because I was a little bit slow. And I have another one at like I have two more at 2,000, which I'm gonna give away one of those in the next month. This is gonna be cool. And then yeah, I have like 50, and then like I have a few that I've like collected in that space, like from Grace's collection. She did a real. I think she did like it was the one of the only like original art projects in the first 10K. There's a couple. It's one of the only ones that she made this custom art of like a middle finger with like a Bitcoin, like Bitcoin on the ring. Because if you remember when ordinals first dropped, all the maxis were like, you can't do this. You can't inscribe images on Bitcoin. And so it was like a middle finger that says like, you can't censor me. Like I paid the fees. And and then there's one that's like, in front of the Wall Street bull, giving the golden bull the finger, being like, we're like decentralized money and stuff like that. So that's a really cool one called Diamond Fingers.
Yeah.
I would recommend if you know like Leonidas
Yeah.
from the Ordinal Show, one of my co-hosts. He has a site called like ord.io, which is designed to be like an explorer to find different ordinals. There's also this idea he created called sattributes. So in ordinals, people want to collect, like every Satoshi has a serial number, right? So one of the cool things about ordinals is that they're all inscribed in a Satoshi that you can actually know the origin of. So if you go to his website, there's like Satoshis that inscribe ordinals where it's a Satoshi that Satoshi himself had in the beginning. So it's like this is on a Satoshi that Satoshi had and that was transferred. And here it is, I'm inscribing on it. There's like rare numbers, there's like other like kind of like rarity to the actual serial number that people are collecting, which is really cool as well.
Wow, that's wild. The collectability seems crazy.
Collectibility is on another level for sure.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely love it. I think it's so cool and interesting, and it's just like the future of this is all so incredible to think about. So, I love it. Listen, the thing under dreams is it's super simple. So, I ask every single guest what the dream that they have for their life is, and I read to you my dream. So I read my dream to you, and then you, off the top of the head, off the heart, read your dream. So I'm Gentle Tornado. I am an honest, enthusiastic, and successful man that will inspire others to live their life through happiness.
I love it, dude. Let me think. Okay, so I say my name, and I
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, I am Trever.btc, and my dream is that I can help founders to like build a more meritocratic future, where like people have more freedom in their lives, and actually, I mean, that they can build applications that give other people more freedom, whether it's their data, their identity, their wealth, that there'll be more freedom for everybody, and that like I want to see people, I want to see, I want to put people in the game, and I want to see them like stay in that game and win at that game. You know what I mean? Like I want to give as many people opportunities as possible, and help um, help bring together resources and human capital in a way that unlocks like more potential for like things to be built. Like a lot of the stuff that I do with the as a VC is I try to reallocate human capital, like try to introduce people who can work together that can build things in a way that if I didn't make that introduction or that connection or foster that wouldn't have happened.
I love it. I love it. You absolutely crushed it, dude. You are definitely a giver, and you love to help people. So I love that. And I know that you're gonna love this. I'm gonna read you my favorite. It's my favorite poem. It's called "The Dash." So it says, "I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way other people feel and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?
Beautiful, man.
I think it just like hits perfect for, especially for what you've been talking about, man.
I love it, dude. It did definitely give me like I can relate to it a lot. Like it's giving me some little flashbacks there reading that. And I agree, man. Like it's like you know, you can't bury all your gold with you. You know what I mean? You can't bury all your money with you. You know, it's like, and when you do have your funeral, like who's going to be there and how did you impact the people? Like can people like I think it's really about for me. Like what I want people to say about me is that they knew I loved them. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's powerful. I love that, dude. All right, well, listen, this is how we end the show is you get to ask the audience one question and then you get to leave them with one final thought. So those can be anything. They don't even have to be Web3. They could be literally a final statement and a one question.
Yeah, I would say the question would be this would be like what they should ask themselves kind of question. I think it would be like, what are you most afraid of in your life? And try to find that fear that's not rational and try to overcome it. Try to go outside your comfort zone. I say this on the Empty Now Twitter Space every day. I always tell people, like, if you've never been on a Twitter Space before, like, make today the day. Go outside your comfort zone. We welcome everybody. And so I think it's really important to challenge yourself, and failure is important. Struggle is important. Like, the people that have struggled far more than I have, I don't envy their position at all. But I also think that you have to be grateful for being able to overcome adversity, and we all have struggle, and we can you can get through most of it. You may not be able to get through everything, but if you push yourself and you take a chance, try to live life without having any regrets.
Let's go. Absolutely love it, dude. This has been an absolute pleasure, Trevor. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it so much, man. This has been Hyped Happy Hour, episode 51 with my man Trevor. Check out Ninjalerts. He is going to absolutely crush it. I know it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Honestly, like, share, subscribe. If you guys can share this with anybody that you think can get some value, that's what I care about. Thanks. Peace.